This afternoon on the marketplace, new transport fares to be determined tomorrow. We'll hear from the Ghana Private Road Transport Union as they resume emergency meeting with the Transport Minister. Also, government races to lobby Amazon to establish the Accra office in Ghana. We shall be assessing its impact. Plus, Trade Minister charges cement manufacturers to consider local raw materials in production to stabilize pricing. Hello once again, you're welcome to the bulletin. We have all these and more coming up shortly after the break this day. My name is Charles Aite. To our first story, new transport fares are likely to be determined today. The unionized transport operators are expected to resume negotiations with government after last week's meeting ended without a compromise. The transport operators are looking for between 10 to 15% hike, but government, on the other hand, believes that the 8 pesos reduction in fuel prices should influence their proposals. The General Secretary of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Godfred Abubari, joins us via phone for this discussion. Godfred, we're so grateful that you joined us on the marketplace. The last time we engaged you, a meeting with the Transport Minister had ended without any agreement. What's the update currently?
Yeah, the issue is that we held a meeting last Wednesday, but we did not conclude. So at that meeting, we had the minister suggested we come back last Friday, but we also that Friday would have been a busy day for us. So we, the operators, suggested to the minister that we'll prepare tomorrow Wednesday as the final day for us to conclude. Because we know every Monday is a busy day for every office holder. So we rescheduled tomorrow Wednesday, do the final discussions, and then to come up with a lot of margin that we have to increase.
I get it, but do you still hold your ground for the 10 to 15% hike? Because transport consultant Cecil Gabra is also pushing for GPLTUs, urgent GPLTU yourself to consider a 5% increase.
Yes, that day, the Minister for Transport said something very significant. He said that whereas we are trying to get a higher margin for our members, we should also be mindful of the traveling public who are our customers. They put us in business. If the margin is beyond what they can afford, then the tendency is that to reduce the passenger turnout and to affect our business. So whatever action we are going to do, it rests in our hands to put us in business or reduce ourselves in the current situation. So we are mindful of what he said. So we are still going to do further negotiations. But this time around, we'll be looking at that, what margin will please our members, and then to please our customers who will be coming to us.
Well, I believe you've already engaged your members and your customers regarding the margin in question here. Could you help us understand what exactly, in terms of hinting, that we should be expecting us at the end of this meeting? Because I know you're entering into negotiations with specific grounds of margin.
You know, this coming tomorrow meeting will be either the third or the fourth meeting we held with the Transport Minister. And I can get you informed that the situations on which we're always going have not always been the same. We started from somewhere, and we're asking for a lot of increments based on certain increments on GBLA fees and then insurance and then the spare parts. All of a sudden, the budget proposal came. So we had to put a hold, and then we said that we were going to wait for the approval of the budget. That was done. I went forward again for another negotiation. And then we were told that the fuel per what the budget had estimated might even go higher by May 1st. So agreed, we had to put on hold to get actually the facts. which in another fact actually came out as a 7% increment. So we went back again. And within the 2 or 3 days, you all witnessed that it was reduced again to 9% instead of the 17%. So the unstable situation of this fuel matter is making us to push so hard to get it done. And when we go tomorrow and then we agree, and within the next 5 days, the fuel margin goes back to the 70%. What have we done? We might not achieve the actual margin to compensate the actual running costs that we're asking for. So the truth is that we will go tomorrow. And the margin by which we're asking for between 20% or whatever, generally per the reduction, no, we will not be asking for so much as that again.
Well, so what happens if your concerns are not met tomorrow? Because you're going to be meeting the energy minister, the transport minister tomorrow to iron out all these issues. What happens if you do not reach a conclusion tomorrow?
Well, see, the situation is that our members are agitated and they're not happy with the current situation. And then we were thinking that from the previous ask before we got to this stage, there was a formula called the automatic adjustment, which was being applied. So when we go there tomorrow and then we still don't get the decision concluded tomorrow, then we come back and take another decision before we go back to them.
Which particular decision could that be?
We will suggest to them as to whether if we could roll out back to the automatic adjustment system.
In the meantime, there are concerns that some taxi drivers are going on with their own reviewed rates. They attest to the fact that fuel prices have increased, so they cannot keep, running their business the old way. How is GPLTU, has this come to your notice first of all, and how are you dealing with this?
I think that information has gotten to us. But we are saying that you and I know that there are so many floating vehicle owners who are going around doing their business would have been assisted to any transport organization in Ghana. And then there are others who have formed themselves into transport groups. And then they even speak louder than us and advocating for even about 40% lower fare increment, which is not even realistic anyway. But we think that our actions are going to be felt by almost every traveling public in Ghana. That's why we are a bit cautious.
Godfrey, we're so grateful that you joined us. He's General Secretary for the GPLTU, helping us understand an ongoing and impending meeting, actually, that will be held between the GPLTU as well as the Transport Ministry tomorrow at 10 a.m. We shall keep our eye on this to give you updates, especially when it will have an impact on your spending capacity moving forward when it comes to transport in and out of your own space. But away from that, government is aiming to attract Amazon to establish an Africa headquarters in the country. The Finance Minister, Keno Foriata, has hinted that the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, is currently on the beat of this particular endeavor. But why Amazon? Well, we do know that Amazon focuses on e-commerce, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence. It is also one of the big 5 companies in the US after Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Facebook Plus. According to Forbes, Amazon is the world's most valuable brand. And of course, we shall be having the CEO of GIPC, Yofi Grant, who's been built to speak to us on what this means to revenue, what this means to remittances, and what this means to, Ghana's tech industry. But you're still watching The Marketplace here on JoyNews. The Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Tremantin, is charging cement manufacturing firms, Zeta Cement, to consider the use of local raw materials in production processes. According to him, this should complement the imported materials as well as also help stabilize the market for consumers. Mr. Tremantin made the appeal in an interaction with the company at its premises in Tema. Here's more. With over $100 million invested in the company, Jata Cement is set to begin production for the Ghana market with the vision of stabilizing the demand and supply of cement in the country. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Chemantin, after a tour of the project site, said this would open doors of opportunity for many young Ghanaians to be gainfully employed. According to the Managing Director, Nana Philip Archer, the first phase of the project, which is almost complete, will be producing at a capacity of 1.2 million tons for a start.
I believe it will linger on or to go on for generations even yet unborn. There are so many plans, and for this particular phase, 1.2 million tons capacity. Very soon we'll double this capacity, and that is only for the bag segment. If we add selling directly to project site, the capacity in the next few years will be 3 million tons. And by far, our vision is to make sure that we become #1 in this country in the next few years. And then we are going to work seriously towards that, and then also solicit the support of government. And for us, we are very, very delighted to even have the minister visiting us, even though we have not started the operation fully.
The Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Chemantin, charged the company to consider the use of local materials in the production process when the entire plant is operating fully. He's optimistic that this development will bring a significant change to the cement supply chain.
The initial phase, which is a bagging plant, is only meant to open the way for something greater to come. And I understand from the management team that the second, third phases would also actually result in the installation of a grinding plant. So in this regard, Sir Ibrahim and your colleagues, I would like to encourage you, once you get to that level, to be able to explore opportunities for using local raw materials, not to completely substitute for clinker, but then it will complement whatever you are importing into the country.
Production of cement has already begun under the first phase of the project. Now, the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development has called on government and the private sector in West Africa to borrow funds from institutions within the African continent. According to the Vice President of Finance and Corporate Services, Mr. Mbobwa Diange, this would help build capacity of African economies. He was speaking at the International Conference on the West African Food Security Storage System.
ECOWAS held a conference in Accra which brought together ministers of agriculture in West Africa to discuss food security storage in the region. Speaking at the conference, Vice President of Finance and Corporate Services at ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, Mr. Mbobwa Diange, called on governments and private sector companies in West Africa to request from funds available.
I am calling all our private sector operations, all our public sector partners. EBIT has mobilized more than $200 million. Please come to us with well-elaborated business plan to support you for the financing. We have raised the money is available, and I am calling governments and private sector to put a very efficient business line and to get financing.
The conference was based on the theme, West African Food Security Storage System towards a multilateral partnership. The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Akoto-Efriye, urged his fellow ministers in the sub-region to do everything possible to prevent hunger from going up.
I wish to encourage all member states to fulfill their commitments towards the consolidation and strengthening of this laudable project. Mindful of the fact that the number of our population who grow hungry keep on increasing exponentially with time. Reports from the Commission indicate that the number of our population going hungry skyrocketed from 4 million in 2018 to 16 million in 2019, went up to 20 million in 2020, and is estimated to reach 27 million by the end of 2021.
World Bank representative for West Africa, Amadou Ba, revealed that the Bretton Woods institution is putting measures in place to commence a project to help address hunger on the continent.
The World Bank Group started preparing a new flagship project in the area of food security called Resilience Program of Food Security System in West Africa, and we are waiting for the approval of this project. This food system resilience provides for specific support for the operationalization of the Regional Food Security Reserve.
Maoli Benson, CEO of Glofet Limited, an agricultural chemical manufacturer, also pledged on behalf of the private sector to support in eliminating hunger in West Africa.
The private sector is key to achieving the goals that we've set for ourselves, that is food security for the sub-region. We have donor agencies that are ready to support. We pledge that we will support in any area and every area that we can to ensure that these goals are achieved.
And you're still watching The Marketplace. Acting Head of Horticulture Development at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Esther Ajikum, has outlined some specifications to be met by horticulturists to gain funds from the ministry to promote greenhouse production in the country. We have more in this report.
Private agribusinesses have organized the Fresh Grain Ghana Project Knowledge Sharing Conference to deliberate on promoting safe greenhouse production in Ghana. Speaking at the conference in Accra, Acting Head of Horticulture Development Unit at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Esther Ajikum, revealed that the ministry has funded projects which did not yield expected results, hence the requirements laid out by the ministry to guide horticulturalists.
Some recommendations from the Delphi report. It indicated the basic design specifications with regards to the units, the construction, climate control mechanisms, and other things. For instance, that borders on managing the temperatures, relative humidity, the light intensity, the covering, the irrigation and fertigation systems, then the pest and disease control and the others. I think, as has been brought forth here, our need for greenhouse production is very different from the very temperate regions. Sometimes sitting at the horticulture deck, sometimes I get frustrated and a bit saddened when people invest in the structures and it doesn't deliver.
The conference was spearheaded by Agri-Impact Consult in collaboration with Safisana and Urban Jungle, among others. CEO of Agri-Impact Consult, Dan Akwe, shares the experience of his outfit in greenhouse production over the years. According to him, despite the challenges in the sector, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is not to blame because the challenges are natural factors.
The issue of humidity and temperature is still a major concern to greenhouse producers in Ghana. So we designed these projects to track temperature and humidity outside the greenhouse, inside the greenhouse, and produce in transit. Produce in transit. Produce in transit in the sense that if I harvest my greenhouse from Brekusu or Dowenya, from Agritop, and I'm not using a cold van, and I'm transporting in an ordinary vehicle, from the time I pick my produce at Dowenya, I have to check the temperature. By the time I get to Makola, Abobloshi, or wherever I'm going to, I should also know the temperature. For us to determine how the plants perform between the point of supply and the point of selling, whether there has been any change in temperature build-up or temperature reduction.
Meanwhile, Emmanuel Autry, Agripreneurship Development Manager at Agri-Impact Consult, expressed optimism for the future of greenhouse production in Ghana.
The future is very, very, very big because it's going to make sure that we get all year round vegetables. It's also going to help avoid the unnecessary hikes in prices of vegetables. And also it's going to create a lot of jobs for the youth because in greenhouse production, you are not going to be on the farm in tattered clothes, cutlasses and all that. So job creation, healthy vegetables, and also cut down on the importation of fruit and vegetables from places like Burkina Faso and Togo and all those countries that we import from.
You're still watching The Marketplace. 225 women startups are undergoing a special business mentorship program meant to empower them to enhance their trade. The 6-month training program is spearheaded by a local financial institution, Sinapiaba Savings and Loans, to address the issue of unemployment in its catchment communities. Prince Apia has more in this report.
150 women entrepreneurs have started receiving mentorship from 75 mentors under the Women Mentorship Program. The initiative is expected to build the capacity of women startups to empower them manage their businesses in today's challenging business environment. Mrs. Joyce Owusudabo is the Chief Programs Officer.
The purpose of the program is to help the women to build a can-do attitude. By so doing, we want to empower them so that they can access resources. We also aim at training these women to build their capacities so that they are able to really manage their businesses very well and have the required skills that they need to invest into the business to grow it. We also aim at using them as change agents in their community. So as we train them, they also go train other women that together they build their community. The mentors are more experienced, and so they are bringing their experience and knowledge to the advantage of the mentees to build them up. By so doing, they can better enhance their business opportunities of recruiting new people and creating jobs for other people.
The program, according to officials, will also equip the women with requisite skills to take advantage of the opportunities presented by the COVID-19 pandemic.
So we have COVID-19 as part of the training session that we're going to have, but we're also looking at the silver linings in COVID-19. What business opportunities does COVID-19 present itself with that the women can take advantages to expand their business or even diversify their business, geared towards increase in their profits and income.
CEO of Sinapiaba, Tony Fosu, meanwhile, advised entrepreneurs to understudy mentors to better their businesses.
You know, in business, so when there are pieces of advice, there was some particular trade, and I'm trade secrets.
In today's business world, you sometimes need some pieces of advice and trade secrets to succeed. So this mentorship is very critical for you startups so that you don't repeat the mistakes they did. But remember that mentorship is not a competition.
Mentorship is not competition.
The second cohort of the program is a 6-month training expected to end September this year. It started last year with 157 women benefiting from the program. Prince Apia reporting.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back with more. Do stay.
On today's edition of Money Lab, we continue our discussion on collective investment schemes. For today, we are going to be looking at fixed income funds. These are funds that invest in both short-term and long-term fixed income securities. So in addition to investing in treasury bills and notes, they also invest in either government bonds or corporate bonds in addition. This type of funds appeal to investors who are interested in investing in the medium to long term and are risk averse.
Well, and that's it by way of the bulletin. My name is Charles Ayete. For more news, you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a good afternoon and enjoy the rest of our programs.